Hi guys, in this tutorial I am going to discuss what is the difference between add controller versus add trust controller in Spring Boot. So inside this Eclipse I have generated this startup project and this is our main class, and I have taken two more packages here. First package is bean package, and inside this bean package I have created this employee bean class. Inside this class, this is the two variables which I have taken, and this is the getters and setters, and this is the controller class which I have created, and I annotated this class with add controller annotation. So what is add controller annotation? So these are the few points which I mentioned here. Add controller, this annotations was introduced in Spring 2.5 version, and it is used to create a web controller class which deals with the web request and send HTTP response for RESTful API with the help of add response body annotation. So this is the Spring Boot project, and inside this controller I have created this RESTful API. These are the two RESTful APIs. So what happens if I run this project and hit this API? It will gives an exception. So let's quickly run this and test. Run as Java application. Yes, our project started at port number 8080. So quickly open this Postman and hit this get employee URL. So if I hit this get employee URL, it is given an exception. Okay, and this is our second method. So this is at get mapping and URL is get string. So quickly hit this URL also. You can say localhost get string. Yes, this URL. And for this URL also we are getting an exception. Why we are getting exception? So here we are using add controller. What is the meaning of add controller annotation? It tells the Spring that it is not a normal class, it is a web controller class. It means for any request which Spring gets, so for those URLs it can consider this class to search or to map those URLs with URL available inside this class. So this is the meaning of web controller. Generally it contains URLs inside this class, and it map those URL with a methods which accept a HTTP request and sends a HTTP response. But here in this RESTful API, the response we are sending is employee type. So what we need to do, as I told, RESTful API will accept a HTTP request and sends a HTTP response object only. So we need to pass, or we need to wrap this employee object into a HTTP response object. Okay, so this wrapping is not happening here, that's why it is giving an exception. And the same here also. Here we want to return a simple string but not a HTTP response object. So we need to wrap this string inside a HTTP response object, then only it will return the response successfully. So how we can achieve that wrapping mechanism? We can achieve this wrapping mechanism by using at response body annotation. So this annotation tells the Spring before returning our response, please wrap those response inside the HTTP response object, then only return those response. So this is the use of this at response body annotation. So now we annotated with this annotation. So let's check our these URLs again. So now this time we are getting this JSON object, and for this URL also we are getting this plain text object. Okay, so this time it generating the correct result. So this is all about add controller annotation. So whenever we want to use this annotation with our RESTful APIs, so we need to use this at response body annotations also for wrapping our simple object or simple Java object inside a HTTP response object. So let's move to our next annotation. Our next annotation is REST controller annotation. This annotation was introduced in Spring 4.0 version. It is a combination of two annotation, add controller and add response body annotation. So REST controller is a combination of add controller and add response body annotation. It means if we use add REST controller, then we no need to use these two annotations here. Okay, so remove these annotations and use add REST controller. Remove this add controller annotation and yes, and remove this add response body annotations also. And save our class, and I am using dev tool in pom.xml file, so that whenever I save my class, this program will auto restart. Okay, so I have removed those two annotations from these two REST API. Let's check this in Postman. So first clear console and hit that URL. Here we can see we are getting the same result. Here also clear console and hit the URL. So here we are getting this plain listing text. So this is the difference between add controller and add REST controller in Spring Boot. Thank you for watching this video.